You confirmed that it exists. Attorney General Pam Bondi confirmed earlier this year that it exists. So I just want to ask you a simple question. Is Prince Andrew on Epstein's client list?
The material related to Prince Andrew has been made public.
Is Prince Andrew on the client list?
We have released the index of names that were in Jeffrey Epstein's.
Is Donald Trump on Epstein's client list?
The index has been released, and the index will speak for itself.
So I'm just going to say, thank you, Director Patel, for being here today. The FBI searched Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan residence, correct?
I believe that happened in 2018. I think there was 2 locations, sir.
It's 2019, and in that residence, the FBI found a safe, correct?
I don't have the catalog of evidence in front of me.
In that residence, the FBI found a safe, correct?
I'll accept your representation.
Okay. And in that safe, the FBI found topless and lewd photographs of girls, correct?
Again, sir, I'll accept your representation. I don't know.
Thank you. It was all over the media at the time. There's a New York Times article that says Jeffrey Epstein is indicted on sex charges as discovery of nude photos is disclosed, dated July 8th, 2019. And the Times reports a trove of lewd photographs of girls was discovered in a safe inside financier Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan mansion. Author Michael Wolff has conducted numerous interviews of Jeffrey Epstein. I'm going to play for you a video clip of what Michael Wolff said Epstein told him was in the safe and what he showed the author was in this safe. So let's please play that clip now.
Elected. I was sitting talking to Epstein, and he said, "Wait a minute, I got to show you something." And then he went into his safe, and he came out with photographs. They were Polaroids, I think, and he kind of spread them out like playing cards, and it was Trump. I mean, I think there were a dozen of them, and it was Trump with girls of an uncertain age at Epstein's Palm Beach house, where all of the things that he would ultimately be accused of took place. And I remember very vividly 3 of them. There are 2 in which Trump is, the girls, topless girls, are sitting on Trump's lap. And then a 3rd in which he has a stain on the front of his pants. And the girls are kind of pointing at it, sort of bent over, laughing.
So Director Patel, I'm going to ask you a very broad and general question. As you know, Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were friends. There are, of course, photos showing Donald Trump together with Epstein, correct?
I don't have the entirety of the photographs, but I think they've been photographed in public together.
All right. Are there any photos showing Donald Trump with girls of an uncertain age?
No.
How do you know that?
Because that information would have been brought to light by multiple administrations and FBI investigators over the course of the last 20 years.
Well, you know what? That's just not true, because no one knew about the creepy birthday message that Donald Trump wrote to Jeffrey Epstein until the Wall Street Journal disclosed it, and then all of a sudden, the Epstein estate provides it to Congress.
Well,
so certainly, you weren't there at the search. You don't know what Epstein may or may not have done with those photographs even prior to the search. Maybe someone has it. Maybe the Epstein estate has it.
You raise a great point.
So I'm going to ask you, have you asked to talk to Michael Wolff?
You raise a great point. I haven't personally asked to talk to Michael Wolff.
Has the FBI asked?
But the FBI, I'll get back to you if the FBI specifically
Michael Wolff has
ever.
About 100 hours of testimony of Jeffrey Epstein. Wouldn't it be good for the FBI to interview Michael Wolff?
I'm not saying they haven't. I just don't know.
Has FBI subpoenaed the tapes that Michael Wolff has conducted of Jeffrey Epstein?
I don't know.
All right. So if you could provide us an answer, that would be terrific.
Sure.
Well, let me ask you this question then. Have you looked at all the photos in Epstein files?
I have looked at all the information that the investigators who investigated this case have provided to run out credible leads.
And in the Epstein files, was there that creepy birthday message that Donald Trump had written to Epstein?
No, that's what I was trying to tell you. You raise a great point. The estate of Jeffrey Epstein has a voluminous amount of information that they have not released before.
Okay, so that's great. So wouldn't it be great if FBI subpoenaed the estate of Jeffrey Epstein for all that information?
The estate is under no obligation to provide that material, even pursuant to a subpoena. That's a great point.
Yeah, that's just false.
Okay.
That's just false. You're the frickin' FBI. You can subpoena the information from the estate, and you better do that.
That's literally not how it works.
I'm going to move on now and talk about Epstein's client list. You confirmed that it exists. Attorney General Pam Bondi confirmed earlier this year that it exists. So I just want to ask you a simple question. Is Prince Andrew on Epstein's client list?
The material related to Prince Andrew has been made public.
Is Prince Andrew on the client list?
We have released the index of names that were in Jeffrey Epstein's.
Is Donald Trump on Epstein's client list?
The index has been released, and the index will speak for
So I'm
itself.
just going to say, America, there's a huge red flag. The FBI director could not answer
Gentlemen.
whether Donald Trump was on Epstein's
Gentleman's time
client
has
list.
expired.
I
You're
yield
now
back.
recognized as the gentleman from Virginia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank the director for being here and for his.
Have you looked at all the Epstein files? That's the question Representative Ted Lieu asked FBI Director Kash Patel, and the answer was revealing, though not in the way the public might hope. What we saw was evasiveness, deflection, and a refusal to acknowledge the full scope of the evidence surrounding one of the most notorious criminal networks in recent history. Jeffrey Epstein wasn't just a wealthy financier. He orchestrated a massive network of sexual abuse, trafficking, and exploitation. And for decades, some of the most powerful people in America were connected to him in one way or another. The FBI searched his Manhattan residences, and what they found shocked the world: safes full of photographs depicting minors in sexualized contexts. This wasn't speculation. It was documented in major media outlets like the New York Times in 2019. The images were Polaroids, often of girls of uncertain age, and some were even posed with individuals who had high-profile connections. Ted Lieu brought up an interview with Michael Wolff, who had first-hand conversations with Epstein. Wolff described seeing Epstein pull out Polaroids, spread them out like playing cards, and even implicating Donald Trump in some of the images. These were not just photographs. They were pieces of evidence pointing to relationships and behaviors that the public had a right to know about. But when Lieu asked Patel directly if he had seen these photos, if he had examined the content, Patel repeatedly sidestepped, claiming he hadn't personally reviewed everything and insisting that the FBI had already investigated all credible leads over the past 20 years. That answer doesn't hold up to scrutiny. We know from reporting by outlets like the Wall Street Journal that even basic pieces of information, like Trump's disturbing birthday message to Epstein, were unknown to the public until the estate released them. So the claim that investigators already had everything is misleading at best. It raises serious questions about how thoroughly the FBI pursued the evidence and whether any names or leads were deliberately left unexplored. Lieu didn't stop there. He pressed Patel on whether the FBI had subpoenaed the estate of Jeffrey Epstein or even spoken to Michael Wolff to verify these materials. Again, Patel was vague. He couldn't confirm subpoenas, couldn't confirm interviews, and in some cases simply claimed he didn't know. This is alarming. The FBI, the nation's premier law enforcement agency, has tools at its disposal to compel cooperation, yet the director could not affirm that these tools were fully exercised. That's more than bureaucratic inertia. That's an institutional failure to ensure accountability for crimes connected to the highest levels of power. Then Lieu turned to Epstein's client list. This is one of the most critical pieces of the puzzle. The list is supposed to show who was involved, who might have facilitated abuse, and who might still be implicated. Patel refused to confirm whether Donald Trump or Prince Andrew were on it, pointing only to a released index, insisting that it would speak for itself. But the reality is that for the average American, the index is not a clear, digestible explanation. People want to know, were elected officials, royals, or other powerful figures involved? The FBI's refusal to clarify leaves a gap in public knowledge, one that undermines trust in our institutions and justice system. What we see in this exchange is a perfect example of how power operates to shield itself. Patel's evasions, whether intentional or procedural, allowed the hearing to proceed without real accountability. Lieu's questions exposed the cracks, incomplete disclosures, unexplored evidence, and the potential suppression of critical information. It's a reminder that justice doesn't just depend on the law. It depends on transparency, integrity, and courage. Without those, the powerful can operate with impunity, while the victims and the public are left with fragments and speculation. The takeaway is stark. The FBI director's inability or unwillingness to answer simple questions about photos, messages, and client lists is not a minor oversight. It's a crisis of trust. It tells the public that even the most serious criminal cases can be entangled with politics, and it underscores the need for independent oversight, thorough investigation, and relentless pursuit of the truth. Ted Lieu did his job by asking the questions that needed to be asked, but the evasions we saw are exactly why America cannot rely solely on the institution to police itself when powerful figures are involved. We as citizens need to stay informed, hold our institutions accountable, and demand full transparency, because without it, justice is incomplete and survivors remain unheard. If you want to understand more about how power, corruption, and accountability intersect in cases like Epstein's, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Supporting independent investigative coverage, whether through Patreon or direct engagement, ensures that these stories don't just fade away, they are fully examined, explained, and held to public scrutiny.